Hi guys, Coach Victor Robledo, and I'm here to help you a little bit with your knee discomfort. Now, I've been a strength and conditioning coach for 30 years. Most people that walk in through my door have something that they can't fix, something that the medical industry hasn't been able to fix, something that a physical therapist hasn't been able to fix. Now, we have a lot of problems associated with our system, but I'm here to break it down in simple ways so that you can understand it and it can help you get out of pain and maybe have a better understanding of what's going on in your body. Now, the knee is very complex in a lot of different ways with the structures, but it's actually very simple within the system. And I always tell people, if you have a knee problem, you probably have a hip or a low back problem. And so we can evaluate structures and the system over time. That's actually what I do. I bring people in, watch them move, and like, oh, you also have problems here. But we also end up with a problem that people don't know how to stimulate the health and flexibility of that knee. So right out of the gate, you got to work on your range of motion and you have to work on mobilizing joints. And then you also have to work on the strengthening. So today's about how we strengthen it. And one of my favorite movements is a classic movement. I started working out when I was in middle school. I got my first weight set and I was working on a diversity of different movements. And one of which is the sissy squat. And the sissy squat is a great movement, but a lot of people, it's a no-go, especially if their knees hurt like Victor. I'm going to show you guys the sissy squat in a second. You're going to be like, there's no way I can do that. But how you break it down is what differs one coach to the other. So I'll show you a simple three-step progression on how you can get to that and how I build my clients to that, and so that they're working on getting more strength in that area. So strength in the knee is absolutely critical. But here's what happens. You hurt your knee, you end up moving less. Because you move less, you end up decreasing in strength, and then you're compensating movement patterns. And by the time you end up compensating that movement pattern, you're back to getting hurt again. So it ends up with this horrible cycle where people end up compensating and in pain, move less, decrease strength, more compensatory patterns. They try to do their activities that they enjoy. So you got to break that pattern, and you have to take sort of the bull by the horns and be like, all right, what do I need to do? So let's talk about the sissy squat first, and you'll see me hold on you can do this unsupported or supported, but this is the maximum progression. And then let's talk about 2 easy steps that you can do to build that up. Now remember, a lot of our muscles, their job is to literally squeeze fluid into our joints. So motion is lotion. You hear that a lot. And there's literally truth to that. And the second thing is we have to build integrity around that joint. Now, I'm not a massive fan of doing classic leg extensions where you sit on your gym and extend your legs out, in part because it's an open kinetic motion. The feet aren't firmly planted, but this one works real well. And for me, the first time I saw it, I saw Tom Platz doing this for developing quads, and I wanted to get legs like Tom Platz. So when I was in middle school and high school, I used to do these sissy squats. And it's not called sissies because you're a sissy. It's actually Sisyphus from the story, from the Greek parable. So you can look that up after. So check it out. You can put your fingertips up against the wall. Here. We rise up onto the toes. Let me move the Bosu. We'll use that in a second. Rise up onto the toes. Tighten up the glutes. From here, we intentionally let the knees go over the toes. You can hold on with your fingertips. Extend forward, back. Keep the glutes engaged. Extend out. If you're feeling more comfortable, daring, you can try to do it with less contact with, right? Optimally, you want to be able to get some significant amount of flexion into that knee and load the leg over. Why I love to do this is essentially it's a functional variation of a leg extension. So it helps me work on the quads, and that actually does a fair amount of strengthening through the psoas. And so the psoas needs to get strong as well. Most people are seated in this position, and so they get tightness. So think about the bicep. If you sit here and flex your bicep really tight, over time, that bicep would lose its functional ability to elongate. And so I think that's what we end up seeing in the psoas. People that are sitting for long periods of time at work have problem with their psoas. And it's a tightness and a weakness. So you do need to work mobility in all these motions as well. And we also get a significant amount of extension, glutes are tightening, and then we're flexing through the ankles as well, working on mobility of the feet, which is also a big problem too, because we're extending out and those feet are not as flexible as they used to be. So that's the sissy squat. I do those probably weekly to work on my knee health and work on the quads and the musculature lower near the knee. But most people are Victor, I'm in such knee pain. How can I progress to that? Well, we start off relatively easy, and I call it, with some of my older population, we're going to go call them ankle squats. But you'll see this a lot in martial arts where we're flexing up. We want to keep the torso upright. And the reality is we live our sports with the knees going over the toes. So I knew early on when I was at San Diego State, I got my degree in health, fitness, and nutrition, that I was not going to necessarily agree with the contemporary culture that was there. They're like, the knees should never pass over the toes when you squat, right? Everyone knows that. Now, there is some merit to that. If I'm doing my heaviest version of squat, I am not going to do it with a significant amount for me, but that's based on my build. So not doing a powerlifting squat. So wide stance, toes out, hips back. It all depends on that build. So what I like to use with most people is we start off standing on the floor from here, and then we intentionally let the knees rock over in a nice rhythm. And I use this as a warm up. Now, if you're having discomfort here, this is where you go. How much discomfort? Again, scale 1 to 10, we're challenging musculature. We're challenging tendons to about a 2 or a 3. So from here, you extend forward and back. If this is still too difficult, you can actually elevate your feet up on the surface like a slant board or even some plates and let them move. And as people get more and more comfortable, they start to let those knees come forward. Now, we're doing this for time. I usually have my clients warm up with this, especially if they have problems with the knee in general, for 3 sets of a minute to kind of warm up. And usually their quads are pumped. Now, the next progression from that's why I had the Bosu on, and that's the ankle squat flexion here. Same thing, where then the knees come forward. It gets a little more dynamic because it's an unstable surface, right? So those are little stimulations where the knee is going past the ball of the foot. Now look, if I'm making this video here and people start to get all bent out of shape about the knees are going over the ball of the foot, well, I'd like to see you descend a flight of stairs without letting that knee go over the ball of the foot. It's just not going to happen. If you're into grappling, doing some stand-up, and you take a shot, your knee is rolling over that foot, right? So there is a lot of positional changes that we're doing. Whether you're surfing, rock climbing, our life isn't always back. It does involve us moving into different positions. So those are 2 progressions to the sissy squat. And then from there, you can start working on building into your sissy squat, holding on fingertips, and letting those knees come forward. As you get more strength, you can let yourself come farther and farther forward so you build that strength. Remember to always work on your flexibility and mobility as well to supplement, to build into this. And if you guys need some help, you can message me or check the link in the bio here, and you could check out some of the courses, sign up for some coaching. Thanks.